All right, today we're going to get started on section 11.4, a very easy one after the previous section. All those areas that we were finding, especially of the regular polygons, was fairly difficult, but this section will be much, much easier. What we're looking at in this section is what's called modeling with area, which means how can you apply area to problems that might be important to someone, might be important to an individual person, or might be important to someone in a town or an area of a state or the entire state or the nation or the world. How can you apply area and use it for your own needs, all right, or maybe a job that you're trying to do. Okay, so the idea is we're going to be focusing mainly on what's called population density. Okay, and the idea here is putting two things together, putting together population, so that could represent, of course, a number of people. It could represent a number of animals. It could represent a whole variety of things. But what we mean by density then is how many people, how many animals, how many whatevers per some unit of area. So how many people per block, or how many people per square mile, or how many people per whatever. Same with animals, of course. So with population density, we're looking at the number of people or the number of animals per a specific area. And then the idea is, if you can do that across multiple places, multiple regions, then you can make a comparison. As an example, we could compare the population density of St. Louis County with the population of population density of Lake County, right? So we could make comparisons then, and therefore, if you have a feel for the population density, maybe if you're a county administrator, you're working for the St. Louis County or Lake County, or you're working for the state of Minnesota, maybe by looking at population density, you can then look at how to allocate monies to help with things like snow plowing and updating electrical systems, and just any multitude of things that go along with running cities, states, even school districts, how to run those types of organizations. Okay, so fairly easy problems, as I'll show you. Here's one that I just grabbed off the internet there. And it says the state of Colorado has a population of 5.8 million people. Find the population density in people per square mile. Okay, so our question again is, what's the population density? And so what this is really going to be defined as is the number of people divided by the area. The number of, in this case, people divided by the area. Okay, so if we abbreviate this just a little bit, so population density, we're going to take the population of the state of Colorado, which they tell us in the problem is approximately 5.8 million people, and we're going to divide by the area. Now, in this case, the area is not just given to us as a value, but they show us that Colorado is roughly rectangular. So the area of Colorado being roughly rectangular is going to be the length of the state multiplied by the width of the state. And when we multiply those values together, 375 times 275, we get a total area then of 103,125. And I'm going to move my screen over. We usually don't worry about labels too much, but it's helpful here. In this case, we have 5.8 million people. And then when I multiplied 375 miles by 275 miles, we got 103,125 square miles. Okay? And then the idea is to just divide and get a feel for this. You don't have to make this exact, but just to get a feel, so divide, let me see if I have the decimal places right. Yep. So 5.8 million divided by 103,125 square miles. And we get, pardon me, excuse me, we get a population density of approximately 56.2 people per square mile. And so the maybe the government of Colorado, the governor, the legislature of Colorado would then compare their population density to that of any of their neighbors, Nebraska, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Nebraska, Oklahoma. You could compare, and again, maybe that helps with decision making, okay, about resources that the state needs. All right, but pretty simple problem, I hope. It can apply to things other than people or animals. Here's just a simple farming problem. I know we're not a farming community, but we could find this one fairly easy. The problem says a farmer has about 72,000 corn plants in a field. Find the plant density per square foot. And here it is specifically tells us density, density per square foot. So we just need to make sure areas in terms of square feet. Okay, so once again, density. Here, really instead of population density, it's really plant density, but same idea. And so what it's going to be defined to be is the number of corn plants divided by the area. So in our nice easy problem here, the number of corn plants is 72,000. And the area of this field, not very realistic, but the area of the field is the area of a rectangle. So the area of this rectangle would be its length multiplied by its width. So we'd have 300 times 120, which gets us an area of 36,000. And again, attaching labels, we have 72,000 corn plants over 36,000 square feet. So when you do the division, obviously it was kind of rigged. We have approximately 2 plants per square foot. And if we were a farming community, that would make more sense to us. Farmers, I grew up in farm country, farmers know that you can't crowd, you can't put too many plants in a specific area because they start to fight for resources like water and nutrients and sun and so on and so on. So you have to be really careful about what your plant's density is. You can't put them too close, they don't grow well. If you put them too far apart, then you're wasting space. So it's a balance of what that density is supposed to be for any given crop. Okay? And then I've got 2 examples with our region. Okay, here's one as an example. I just took a picture of the northeast part of Minnesota here. And then I just did a rough calculation for the, for the northeast part of the state. And then off the DNR site, I just approximated the number of deer that live in our neck of the woods, in our part of the state. So we could ask then, what's the population density for the deer per square mile in the northeast part of Minnesota? And once again, the idea, the basic thought is it's going to be the number of deer divided by the area. And this time I just simply gave you both values. The number of deer in this part of the state is approximately 472,000. And the area of northeast Minnesota, as you can see, the way I defined it on the picture going from Couchiching across to Cook, and then all the way down to Pine County, is approximately 23,400 square miles. So we have approximately 472,000 deer across 23,400 square miles. So if we do that division, 472,000 deer divided by 23,400 square miles, we get a population density of approximately 20.2 deer per square mile. Okay, and of course that's going to vary a lot depending on which particular piece of property you're looking at, but across our entire part of northeast Minnesota, that would be the population density. Okay, and the last one, just kind of for fun, another county problem, and thinking about resources if you happen to become an employee for St. Louis County, or if you moved out of the area and eventually you settled in Brooklyn, New York. What I'm going to ask you for on this one is population density for St. Louis County, so our county in the state of Minnesota. And I also gave you Brooklyn, New York. Not sure why I picked that one, but I did. Right, and you can see the values that I looked up. And so our population density for St. Louis County, and this, by the way, is, if you didn't notice, is in terms of people. So it's going to be the number of people, 200,231 people that live in St. Louis County. And the area of St. Louis County is approximately 6,860 square miles. So if we take our population and divide by its area, we get the number of people per square mile. So in St. Louis County, there are approximately 29.2 people per square mile, right? So you take areas of St. Louis County like Duluth that are very heavily populated, and the density would be much higher. And then you spread that out with, you got areas around Cotton or wherever that there's not very many people that live out there, but on average, the density would be 29.2 people per square mile. But in Brooklyn, New York, many, many more people. The population density would be the number of people, 2,736,074, divided by the area of Brooklyn, which is 97 square miles, right? And when we do that, population density, 0.74, and divided by 97, we find that there are 28,206 people per square mile. Almost 1,000 times as dense in Brooklyn, New York, as it is in St. Louis County, Minnesota. Okay? Alrighty. So hopefully very easy section. So this is the end of the video, obviously very short. So I want you guys to do two things. Work on the assignment for section 11.4, and then also, if you have time, continue and work into the chapter review for chapter 11. Okay? We'll be having a test soon, right after I get back. Okay? So hope you're having a good day, and we'll talk to you on Monday.